office, I discovered my parents left me nothing. My sister got it all: the house, the stocks, the summer property by the lake, even my grandmother's emerald brooch. They didn't even look ashamed. Dad said, "You can earn for yourself. You're capable. She's the chosen one." Chosen. Like this was some divine pageant, and I hadn't even made it past auditions. My name is Serena Knox, I'm 30. And if you think you know how this ends, stay tuned. Because what happens when the family that raised you like a warrior suddenly expects you to bow? What happens when capability becomes the excuse for cruelty? I didn't argue. Didn't cry. I simply nodded at the will, folded my hands in my lap, and let the silence speak for me. And then, I canceled everything. The $1,100 auto transfer for Mom's meds. The $800 that went toward Dad's mortgage. The tuition aid for my nephew. The emergency stash they'd tap into every Christmas like clockwork. Gone. All of it. They didn't notice, not at first. They were busy popping champagne with Marissa, toasting her inheritance blessing. But a month later, my phone pinged. Mortgage is due. Can you cover it this month? I stared at the message for a second, then replied, "Not mine." No emojis. No punctuation. Just cold, clean truth. 5 minutes later, she tried calling. I didn't pick up. Some debts aren't financial. Some debts are emotional. And this time, the bill wasn't coming to me. The thing about silence is it grows teeth. After I replied, "Not mine," my mother didn't call again. Not that day. But 2 hours later, my dad emailed. Subject: Re-mortgage. Body: You're being selfish. We did our best. Don't let bitterness ruin the family. I stared at it for a long time. Not because it hurt, but because it didn't. I remember the nights I'd spent patching this family together like a seamstress on her last needle. Dad's back pain treatments? I paid. Mom's dental implants? I covered. The week Marissa dropped out of college and ran to Cabo, I flew there and dragged her back. But in that lawyer's office, I wasn't a daughter. I was the afterthought. The capable one. The next morning, I walked by the bakery I used to love as a kid and saw Marissa inside, laughing, coffee in one hand, an iPad in the other. She was tapping through house listings, big houses, with porches, pools. She'd inherited everything, and she wanted more. I didn't go in. I simply opened my banking app and clicked freeze on the emergency family account they still had access to. It was $18,340. I transferred it into a locked savings account in my name. Later that evening, a string of texts popped up from Marissa. "Hey, weird, I can't pull money. Did something happen to the account? Mom said you're being vindictive. Please just talk to her." But I wasn't being vindictive. I was finally being fair. And fair, for the first time, felt like peace. Marissa's text stopped after midnight. I imagined her, scrolling through our shared account, realizing every dollar she'd taken for granted was now just numbers locked behind my name. But I didn't do it to punish her. I did it to see who they were without me. 3 days passed. Silence. Then, the phone rang, not my cell, but the landline I hadn't touched in years. It was still plugged in near the entryway. I let it go to voicemail. My mother's voice crackled through the machine like an old radio. "We know what you did, and you're making a mistake. Come to Sunday dinner, and let's talk. You're still family." Still family. Those 2 words, they clung to me like wet fabric. I stared at the family photo above my fireplace. I was 16 in it. Braces. Holding a cake I baked myself. Marissa was already glowing, golden, gifted. My parents had their arms around her. I was nearby. Sunday dinner came. I didn't go. Instead, I booked a cabin 3 hours away. Packed a bag. Drove. Halfway there, I stopped at a gas station and got a message from my old college roommate, Lindsay. "Saw your sister's post. You okay?" Attached was a screenshot of Marissa's Instagram story. It was a picture of my parent house. The caption read, "When your fam tries to punish you, but forgets they still owe $1,200 on last month's credit card bill. Oops." She tagged me. Publicly. That's when I smiled. because what she didn't know was I'd already closed that credit card the day before. And the collector? He was calling, but not me. By Monday morning, their silence turned to noise. Missed calls, blocked numbers, emails with subject lines like, urgent, please. We didn't mean it that way. I didn't open a single one. Instead, I watched the balance in their once joint accounts drain into late fees, interest penalties, and default notices, all of which used to land on my desk. Now, not my desk, not my name, not my problem. Tuesday night, as I sat on the porch of my rented cabin watching rain streak down pine needles, I got a text from my father. We were wrong. You're not just capable. You're essential. I stared at it. It was the closest thing to an apology I'd ever gotten from him. But it wasn't really an apology, was it? It was desperation, rebranded. By Wednesday, they started showing up. First Marissa, parked outside my apartment building, pretending to be just in the neighborhood. Then my mother, standing in line behind me at the grocery store, like she didn't drive 40 minutes to get there. She said nothing, just stared at the debit card I pulled from my wallet, the one she used to call ours. I said, without turning, "You shouldn't have posted that toast." Her lip quivered. "It wasn't meant to hurt you." I bagged my groceries. "Then maybe next time don't label me back up." The woman behind us in line shifted awkwardly. The scanner beeped. My mother didn't follow me out. She just stood there, the automatic doors closing between us like a slow, final curtain. And as they did, I realized something. They hadn't just underestimated me. They'd built their lives on the belief I wouldn't walk away. But I had. And the silence was finally mine. By Friday, I knew they'd run out of options. That's when Ezra showed up at my door. Not with his usual swagger, no gold watch, no smug grin, just him, in a wrinkled hoodie, clutching a grocery bag like it was a peace offering. I didn't invite him in. He stood on the doormat, shifting awkwardly. "Can we talk?" I leaned on the frame. "Depends. Is this about the house, the car, or the canceled party venue?" He laughed nervously. "You made your point." "I wasn't making one," I said. "I was just correcting a long-standing miscalculation." He paused. "They're scared. Dad's worried about foreclosure. Mom's pretending she isn't crying every day." I folded my arms. "And you?" He looked down. "I'm angry," he admitted. "At myself. I thought they were right about you." That caught me off guard. He continued, voice tight. "But you showed up for them. Over and over. And they used you like a vending machine. I went along with it." For a moment, I saw the brother I remembered. Not the golden child, just the kid who used to sneak me half his Halloween candy. I let the silence stretch. Then I said, gently, "They taught us one of us had to lose for the other to win. They were wrong." He nodded. "So, can we fix this?" I glanced past him, toward the street where Mom's car idled. "Only if you walk away from their version of winning." He turned to look, then slowly stepped back, away from the house. Alone. And for the first time, maybe ever, that felt like a beginning, not a betrayal. 3 days passed. Ezra didn't come back. But someone else did. At exactly 9:12 a.m. on a cloudy Wednesday, I opened my front door to see my mother standing there. Not with groceries. Not with guilt. With a clipboard. "Let's be civil," she said, without a hello. I brought documents. Legal ones. I stepped aside, not to let her in, but to make sure the neighbors saw I wasn't the one causing a scene. She held up the folder. "A repayment proposal," she explained. "You'll get your money back. Gradually. We can't do everything at once." I raised an eyebrow. "I never asked for repayment." "Well," she sighed, lips tightening, "you've made things quite difficult. You cut the utilities. Canceled the fundraiser bookings. Pulled out of Ezra's co-signed lease." "I pulled out of your expectations," I said, coolly. "The rest was just math." She blinked. I continued. "You built a house of cards with my name at the bottom. I just stopped holding it up." Her voice dropped. "You owe this family," she hissed. "Everything we've done was to protect your brother's future." I folded my arms. And what about mine? A silence followed. Heavy. Hollow. Then she softened, a practice move. We can start fresh, she whispered. If you just come home. I looked her dead in the eye. I am home, I said, pointing at the ground beneath me. This one's mine. Paid with real sweat, not stolen favors. She left the clipboard on the porch. No goodbye. As I closed the door, I noticed the fine print on the document. Condition: no further public discussion of family matters. I smiled. They weren't trying to pay me back. They were trying to shut me up. The clipboard sat on my porch for 2 days. I didn't sign it. Didn't move it. Just let the rain warp the edges. By Friday morning, a courier showed up with an envelope, certified mail, signature required. Inside, a letter from their attorney. This is a formal notice requesting you cease public statements regarding family matters. In exchange, repayment of funds will begin immediately. Failure to comply may result in legal action. I laughed. Out loud. Because here it was on paper, what I'd known all along. They didn't care about repair. They cared about control. I slid the letter under a magnet on my fridge next to my niece's crayon drawing. The caption read, in messy purple letters, Auntie Serena equals hero. Then I opened my laptop. Attached every bank transfer, every text, every screenshot of their chosen one speeches. Forwarded the entire packet to a journalist friend at a local business paper. The headline went live that night. Capable daughter or silent bank. How one woman's family used her as a financial lifeline. It wasn't salacious. It wasn't vengeful. It was just facts. By morning, my inbox overflowed with messages from women I didn't know. Thank you for telling this story. This is my life, too. I thought I was alone. For once, the narrative wasn't theirs. It was mine. And the more they tried to shame me into silence, the louder my truth became, without a single insult or threat. That evening, a black SUV idled across the street. Ezra got out. Alone. No pearls. No clipboard. No lawyer. Just a folded piece of paper in his hands. When he reached my porch, he held it out. A handwritten note. For words. I'm done. I'm sorry. I read his note once. Then again. I didn't text back. Didn't call. Didn't invite him in. Instead, I walked past him. Down the porch steps. Into the cool morning air, where the breeze didn't carry guilt. Just clarity. At the corner cafe, I ordered the same latte I'd bought 1,000 times, but this time, it tasted different. Lighter. Like it belonged only to me. My phone buzzed. Voicemails from Mom. Texts from Dad. Even one from the cousin who hadn't spoken to me in years. But I didn't listen. I didn't need to. Because I had already answered. With silence, with boundaries, with a peace they couldn't bargain back. I donated the crayon drawing to a local gallery doing a show on unsung women. The caption read, Auntie Serena equals hero. Visitors left sticky notes beside it, sharing stories of their own invisible battles. Later that week, I signed a lease on a tiny writing studio. Not a big purchase. Just a space with sunlight, bookshelves, and a lock they didn't have a key to. A place to be more than their bank. More than their backup. Just Serena. I didn't seek revenge. I didn't shame them online. I did something more powerful. I stopped being useful to people who only loved me when it served them. They kept calling. But peace doesn't ring loud. It just settles. Quietly. Deeply. And as I placed the final letter from their lawyer, unopened, into the shredder, I smiled. Some things don't deserve to be read. Some closures don't need permission. Just a locked door. And a woman on the other side. Finally free.